The DOJ is not even very good at this cover-up. I mean, it's a complete mess they're making. They're making things even worse. So the MeidasTouch network was the first to report about this apparent letter between Jeffrey Epstein and Larry Nassar at or around the time Epstein allegedly died by suicide. Nassar, a convicted abuser, sexually assaulted many young gymnasts when he was the doctor for the Olympic team and at Michigan State University. This was purportedly a letter sent by Epstein to Nassar. It mentioned young, nubile girls, I think was the language that was used. And it referenced that the president also likes them that way. Just really despicable stuff. We reported how back in 2023, there were public records requests from the Bureau done to the Bureau of Prisons, which referenced that there may have been a letter in email exchanges. It was being discussed in real time, right around when Epstein allegedly died by suicide. But this was attained by the Associated Press back in 2023. Go back, there was some reporting on this, that Epstein may have sent Nassar a letter. When we reported, we were very careful in how we reported this on the MeidasTouch network. We didn't just say, this is definitely a letter that was sent from Epstein to Nassar and it's saying that Trump knew. This is not how we reported it. We said this was in the Epstein files, in the batch 8, in the file drive 8 that was recently released. And it was submitted back in 2019, 2020-ish. After Epstein allegedly died by suicide, for a forensic handwriting analysis, because we have copies of those documents, but not the outcome of the forensic handwriting analysis. And we went on and we explained that even though it was postmarked for a few days after Epstein died, and even though it said that it was sent through a Virginia address, we explained that's actually where a lot of prison mail is routed through, a Virginia mail processing center in Virginia. And it takes weeks sometimes for a prisoner who sends mail for it to get out. So it would not be surprising that it could be postmarked later. Like, that's not a surprising fact at all. And also, this letter was found at the MCC, at the Metropolitan Correction Center, by when Epstein died. So it was located by Epstein. It was in that facility. It seemed to be sent from that facility. So you could say, well, did another prisoner send it, or where's this coming from? I mean, sure, but it seemed to at least have the indicia that this is something that Epstein could have sent to Nassar, which is why they did a forensic handwriting analysis, but no one knows the results of what that was, what they had. So show us what the results of that analysis was, right? So then we posted about this. The DOJ responds to Meidas, and they say, first, the DOJ says they're looking into it. Then 2 hours later, they write back to us. The FBI has confirmed that this letter is fake. The fake letter was received by the jail and flagged for the FBI at the time. The FBI made the conclusion on the following facts. And it goes into, well, it was postmarked in Virginia. The return address lists the wrong thing. So they go into those excuses, right? So as Roger Solenberger writes, though, so if this is true, then why did the DOJ hang on to a fake, irrelevant letter for years and then release it without clarification alongside tens of thousands of pages of authentic documents? Are other records fake? How and when will we know? Or maybe that's the whole point of this silly behavior. Hard to appreciate the collective psychological damage that this mendacious, thoroughly unserious administration has already done in less than a year. It goes on to say right there. We have a statement from an Epstein survivor, Ashley Rubright, who blasts the DOJ for releasing what it now claims are fake documents. I want to know why fake documents exist in the Epstein case. Someone put false information into the case file involving the sexual abuse of children. That should terrify everyone. If these documents were submitted intentionally, we deserve to know who did it and why. And if anyone in the government created them, altered them, or used them anyway, that is a betrayal of survivors and a corruption of justice. This case is already defined by lies, silence, and the protection of powerful people. Adding fake records only deepens the harm. We're not asking for favors. We're asking for the truth. The DOJ cannot stay silent on this. Tell us who is responsible and tell us what they were trying to hide. And then why wouldn't they release the handwriting analysis that was done back in 2020? Did they do that analysis? Did they not do that analysis? They just released the document. It said they were going to do a handwriting analysis. So did that not happen? Let's bring in Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Talking Feds Substack, and Talking Feds podcast. Harry, they had 1,000 lawyers at the DOJ working on this since March. 1,000. What they claim is in the corpus of Epstein material is hundreds of thousands of documents, which you and I both know for being involved in cases with large document productions actually is not a lot of documents. I've dealt with cases that have millions or tens of millions of records, and I often had 5 or 6 associates working with me, not 1,000 lawyers from the Department of Justice and staff from the FBI. And when whether you want to say there's an outright cover-up, or there's just outright incompetence, or a combination of the both, what they're doing here is psychologically torturing the survivors with this behavior. So they go, oh, it's a fake. Okay, well, if it's a fake, then you have fake documents that you're releasing to the public without context. What are we supposed to do as reporters? But screw us as reporters. That's the least of my concern. How do the survivors process information like this, Harry?
The callous bastards. And look, the non-compliance is so pronounced and extreme that there's, you've given the 2 hypotheses, incompetence and cover-up. I went with cover-up. They lost all credibility with me on Friday when they released these documents, and Blanche went on TV and said, oh, it's so hard, thousands of people, etc. And we're trying hard, the law said, by Friday, and they could have come back and asked for more time, or otherwise just given some kind of interim report. Didn't try any of that, but much more to the point, they produced. He made it sound like, oh, it's just overwhelmed, and here's what we could produce. But that was total blazing lie, because no way, if you know that much statistics, you do it randomly and come out with one document that's about Donald Trump that has ever been seen before, and 120 about Bill Clinton, at which point the White House, crows about Bill Clinton's role, et cetera. That is obviously the statistical odds of that being random are, basically the equivalent to the universe exploding tomorrow. They, total rogues and liars. So that's where they start with me. It's not just the size of the job, but they're obviously lying and cheating. One other very obvious way, no explanation of redactions. You've got to have the legal justification to do it, and somebody has to be able to judge. They haven't even tried it. But this, as you say, it's worse, because this document has been around since 2023 anyway, through the Associated Press. What is the possible reason that the FBI hadn't already done the forensic examination to authenticate or not? So you first have that kind of, screaming. You could call it incompetence, but what the hell? Why is it released and now and only now? Because Meidas calls. I mean, kudos to you guys. You have great power to shake up the country, but it's ridiculous that this hadn't already been done, especially with a document like this that just sort of screams out something could be, counterfeit about it. And then it doesn't, to me, indulge too much cynicism given what they've done. But this really makes the point you're making about the callousness to the victims. I wouldn't put it past them. I used to work there. I was not cynical about the Department of Justice. Many other people were, and I would explain, no, you don't understand. People are there to do the right thing. People now are not there to do the right thing. So did they actually purposely include a document that would be revealed to be fake to then somehow cast a pall over everything, including all the legitimate documents, and at the cost of making, victims who've been waiting for this moment actually have the rug pulled out from under them and not know which end is up, and is the whole thing just completely phony and untrustworthy. So the failure to have done it, and just the back and forth, pulling it and then only then revealing, oh yeah, it's fake, and the loss of confidence it could provide for the entire belated and over redacted disclosures. That to me certainly is consistent with an administration that's trying to do all it can now that it's been painted into a corner and has to release materials to make those materials have minimal impact or be mistrusted and have the least prospect of actually dirtying up the president of the United States, who obviously was desperate to keep them from coming to light and was forced by a near unanimous vote from Congress to having to capitulate. So it just feels like a couple different versions of the dirty pool that they inaugurated on Friday with this ridiculous gambit of all the Clinton documents and no Trump documents.
I can't even, in my worst expectations for how bad they would handle it, I must apologize, because I even gave them slightly more credit than they deserved of what my expectation. I thought it was going to be bad. I thought it was going to be a cover-up. I thought it was going to be sloppy. But whatever this is has now truly made this the defining thing of this guy's presidency, covering up a Donald Trump, covering up a child sex trafficking ring and destroying the economy and ruining America's alliances abroad and a few other disasters, and destroying our government and being the most horrible human being ever. I keep going on. But anyway, Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Talking Feds podcast, and Talking Feds Substack. Harry, thanks for all that you do. Everybody subscribe to his YouTube channel. It's called
Always a pleasure. Hey, Ben, let me just say, we really, I think, got a lot of good insight and work done in 2025. Look forward to more of the same in 2026, and maybe an eventual end to the need to do all of this, in the foreseeable future.
Thank you so much, Harry. Everybody hit subscribe here. Subscribe to Harry's channel, Talking Feds. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast for new updates every single day.